Good day, everyone. For Telesur, I'm Cody Weddle in Caracas, Venezuela. The former president of Brazil, Luis Ignacio Lula da Silva, has welcomed the restoration of relations between Cuba and the United States. He also calls for the complete lifting of the blockade against the island. Lula recognized the hard work of Latin American leaders in the normalization of relations and pushed for the end of the blockade on Cuba. The Brazilian leader also says the United States has no further reasons for the blockade and its removal should be approved by Congress. And staying in Cuba, Russia's Deputy Prime Minister Dmitry Rogozin has held talks with Cuban President Raul Castro in Havana. Castro and Rogozin discussed what they termed excellent ties between the two countries and the importance of continuing to strengthen their economic relationships. Rogozin also signed bilateral agreements with Cuba's Vice President Ricardo Cabrizas on commerce, trade, and investment. The Dominican Republic is beefing up security along its border with Haiti in a bid to block the passage of migrants fleeing the political crisis in Haiti. Dominican authorities claim they are weary of ongoing political instability in neighboring Haiti and fear Haitians will begin to cross their borders en masse.
We strengthen what is the Caesarean, border guard, and the National Army. You know that at this time, Christmas, thousands of Haitians cross over to their neighboring country, Dominican Republic, and then they return at the beginning of the year, and that creates many problems. There are always illegal Haitians who want to enter our national territory.
Moving to Peru now, former Shining Path leader Abimael Guzman has defended the political party, the movement for amnesty and fundamental rights at his trial. The organization is a group of grassroots leaders who, among other things, are trying to end prosecution of communists. It has been denied registration. Through the movement, the radical left is showing a renewed political presence. Guzman's lawyer, Alfredo Crespo, says his trial was a form of political prosecution.
It's political persecution against communists, against Marxist, Leninist, Maoist, Gonzalez thought, against Democrats and everything that opposes the regime. That is the content of this judicial proceeding.
In the United States, the family of Eric Garner has condemned this weekend's killing of 2 police officers. Garner died after being put into a chokehold by a New York City police officer. The mother of Eric Garner called for all demonstrations protesting Garner's death to remain peaceful.
I'm standing here in sorrow about losing those 2 police officers. That was definitely not our agenda. We are going in peace, and anyone who's standing with us, we want you to not use Eric Garner's name for violence, because we are not about that. These 2 police officers lost their life senselessly, and our condolence to the family, and we stand with the families.
In Iraq, Kurdish and Yazidi fighters have battled to take the strategic northern town of Sinjar back from Islamic State fighters. The fighting comes after the Kurds and Yazidis broke a months-long siege of the mountain above it. Seizing the town would restore the majority of territory to Iraq's Kurds. The Kurdish People's Protection Units and Women's Protection Units have been at the forefront of the fighting.
My name is Marwan. This is my nickname. We are currently engaged with fighting in Sinjar, and as you can see here, we are fighting alongside with the Peshmerga in Kurdistan. We are ready to sacrifice our souls and our bodies in order to protect Kurdistan and the Kurdish people.
For the first time in nearly 2 months, Egypt has opened the Rafah border crossing for incoming travelers from the Gaza Strip. We turn now to Noor Harazin for the latest.
Today, and for the second day in a row, Egypt opened the Rafah border, allowing Palestinians to leave the Gaza Strip into Egypt. Around 600 Palestinians left the Gaza Strip today and yesterday. Most of those who left the Gaza Strip are patients, cancer patients, kidney failure patients, and some students who are studying abroad. Meanwhile, Palestinian officials told us that they are trying as much as they can to pressure Egypt into opening the border few extra days or opening it again for 2 days next week.
And thanks to Noor. Moving on now, the sister of the Spanish king, Princess Cristina, will soon face trial on charges of tax fraud. The prosecution makes the princess the first member of the country's royal family to be charged with an offense in court since the restoration of the monarchy in 1975. Now, if convicted, the princess could be sent to prison for as long as 4 years. Her husband is also facing trial. St. Lucia's Sustainable Development Minister has pleaded for funding for climate change mitigation measures for Caribbean community countries. The remarks came as he spoke on behalf of the CARICOM Caribbean bloc at the recent climate talks in Peru. Farmers and fishermen in St. Lucia say they are already feeling the major impact of climate change. Allison Kinnish has this report.
Anne-Marie Augustus, who is a 56-year-old female farmer from St. Lucia, lost her entire sweet potato yield to extreme heat in 2014. She says the effects of climate change, such as warmer temperatures and extreme weather events, are wreaking havoc on local families like hers.
This year, I think burn, but I think small sun. The sweet potato, I have a big piece of sweet potato, not making not a or one potato.
When St. Lucia's Sustainable Development Minister addressed climate talks in Peru, he said he was speaking on behalf of people like this farmer.
The increasing frequency of extreme weather events retards our developmental progress as we find ourselves in a constant cycle of rebuilding, rehabilitating, restoring and recovering, as opposed to developing and building resilience.
Husband and wife Jeanette and John Francis have been fishing for 3 decades. They are hoping that the governments can come together to help them.
We are hustling on our own and try to see what we can do because we have the bill to pay every month. I believe that the input of government will help us better.
Dr. Fletcher also informed the Peru talks that the cost of the impacts of climate change have already brought the economic resources of Caribbean nations to near breaking points. There is an urgent need to boost climate change resilience and to combat the effects of climate change. The resolve is present. What is needed now is the funding to make this possible. Alison Kentish for Telesur English in Grosley, St. Lucia.
And thanks to Allison. Plenty more on those stories and others at our website, telesurtv.net/English. For Telesur English, I'm Cody Weddle. Have a great Monday.